So does that mean you gain money or lose money?
Gain. Well, it's literally like if you're a savings deposit box, you gain money, but like if it's a loan, that's painful.
Correct. Okay, so, for example, a savings account. A savings account typically has an interest rate on it. Nowadays you're not, nowadays you're not going to get a very high percent interest rate. So like, I think my savings account has like a 0.5% interest rate. So 4 times a year, because it's compounded quarterly, they give me a 0.5% of what's in there. Okay, so like let's say I had $100 in there, 0.5% is 50 cents. They give me 50 cents 4 times a year, so I'd make $2 a year in interest. So interest can be a good thing. So interest can be like I said, a bank account or deposit box, or like stocks. Like if you buy stock in Apple or stock in Microsoft or Xbox or whatever, you can gain interest on that money that you've invested. Yeah. Okay, crypto. Or you technically lose money with interest. So, for example, I know this from example. Hold on. Jim Butner Auto. Okay. It's a buy here, pay here lot in Hartsville. You can buy a car and you pay the car there. Their interest rate is like 21%, which means that if you borrow $1,000 from them, you're paying $21 a day on that money. So if you buy like a $10,000 car, it's like $210 a day you're paying in interest. House loans. So way back when I bought a house that cost $110,000, and my house loan was for 30 years. So they expected me to have $110,000 paid off in 30 years. That was pretty easy, right? That's not that much money at all. But by the time I paid it back with interest, I will have paid back almost, I think it was like $275,000. Because that's how much interest it accrued. Because let's say Jim Butner pay a lot again. If it was $10,000 for a car and you have a 21% interest and you get $210 charged a day, the next day they're charging you interest on $10,210. And then adding that on. And then adding that on. So interest can be a bad thing. You have to pay back a lot more. But mostly what we're going to talk about today is savings accounts. And interest with savings account, bank account are good. You want interest with those because you want more money. So it says Carl just turned 13 and is now old enough to open a savings account. Previously, he used a piggy bank to save his money. Consider the advantages and disadvantages in using a savings account over a piggy bank. Might have any ideas? Right?
Piggy bank.
Piggy bank, there's no chance for what? So piggy bank, so no interest. You couldn't gain interest on a piggy bank because it's not with a bank. With a savings account, you could get an interest gain. Anybody else have any ideas? All right, Seamus.
You don't have to let me sign a word it out. You don't have to easily get your money from the piggy bank, but for the bank, don't you have to go and drive there?
Yeah, so you have to go to the bank. Yeah, but you still have to drive there, Jonathan. Okay. Not actually true, because if I wanted to open my 4-year-old bank account right now, I could.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I guess the age difference is you can't take yourself to the bank.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Like your parents would have to be there. Like you couldn't do it alone. Yeah.
The bank, you know where your money is. Nothing's gonna happen to it.
Right, but typically at a bank, unless your money's invested, it's gonna be there. Especially like a credit union, the money's even safer. They're backed. like federally accredited or whatever, so they're not gonna typically steal your money at the bank unless somebody hacks your account, or you have a bad employee that can steal your money. Yes,
I was reading something a long time ago, and it said like the highest money, like let's say if you had $1 million in there,
Mhm.
and like someone robbed the bank, the highest money you could probably get back.
oh really, I don't know that. I just know that, somebody hacked our bank account and took, $1,300 for crypto.
Oh,
Crypto account, but we did get our money back.
that's a smart investment though, because $1,000 could easily get you like, I would just put my crypto, I was 20,000.
Oh, that's it.
I was
But-
about
You
to
get in that. Gain the money back or something.
Well, that's kind of what the interest is, that you're getting interest. All right, we're gonna keep chugging along here. All right, so simple interest is interest earned only on the principal amount that you have in the bank. So like, if you deposit $200, that $200 is the principal, the starting amount that you put in that bank. It is earned over a period of time and is written as a percentage. So an interest rate is a percentage. So like I said, my interest rate on my bank account is 0.5%. An interest rate on Jim Butner is probably 21%. My house interest rate right now, I want to say it's like 2.85%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but over 30 years it is. All right, so simple interest. Okay, we're going to circle this. We're going to star it. It's I equals P times R times T. So this is P times R times T. And a lot of people call it I party. Okay, I party. And that's just saying that the interest, the way that you can find interest is by taking the principal and multiplying it by the rate and then multiplying it by the time. So I stands for interest, and make sure you're following along right here. This is the biggest part of today. I stands for interest. Now P stands for the principal, which is the starting original amount. Okay? So make sure you write that down. The principal is the starting amount, the original amount. That's the amount that they put into the bank at the very beginning. Raymond. All right, the rate. The rate is a percent as a decimal. So rate as a decimal. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. Make sure you write as a decimal on there. That's very important. The last thing is T, which is the time in years. What if it only said 6 months? How would you write that as a year? 0.5. So how many months is in a year?
12.
12. So if they tell you 6 months, that's only half of a year, so that would be 0.5. What if they told you 3 months?
That's 0.3. Oh, 0.4. 0.7. That's 1/4. 1/4 of the month. No,
Which is
1/4
what
of the year.
decimal?
0.9. 1/4 of the year. That's all I know.
0.25. Hey guys, 1/4 is the same thing as a quarter, which is 25 cents, which is 0.25.
So I'll say that.
But you have to put it as 0.25.
How does that mean?
Okay, now, rate. Rate as a decimal. This is the biggest part where people have issues. Okay, so pay attention. Rate. What you do is you move the decimal 2 places left. Write that down. That is huge. Like I said, this is the only part that people really mess up when they're plugging stuff in. That means you have to pick up your pencil, touch attach it to your paper for it to be able to write words.
Does that say rate or?
Gomez, that means you use your pencil to write what I just wrote in red, right? I move the decimal 2 places left. All right, so we're gonna go into our first problem here. And it says, use the simple interest formula to determine the amount of interest earned. Then find the total value of the account, assuming no other deposits are made. Okay, so it says a $900 deposit for 20 years at a simple interest rate of 4%. So you will see me do this. IPRT. Okay, and that's going to help me decide which number is my principal, which one's my interest, which one's my rate, which one's my time. Okay, so here's my first question. Brian, which one of those numbers is your starting amount of money? $900. This is the money that you started with. So that's going to be the principal. That's the starting amount. That's the amount that they put in the bank. That's what the word deposit means, is that's what they put in the bank. All right, what's the rate? Somebody else. What's the rate? Marilena? 4%. Now, 4% is the rate. But we said that rate, I have to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 0.04. So I'm going to put the decimal 1, 2. So I'm going to use 0.04. So rate, I move the decimal 2 places to the left. All right, and then what's the time that they tell us? Jonathan? 20 years. 20 years. All right, so that gives me everything that I need. So the formula says I equals P, which is 900, times the rate, which is 0.04, times the time, which is 20 years. So let's all use our calculator. Don't yell it out yet. Everybody pick up your calculator and multiply those 3 numbers together. Hold on. I want everybody to pick up the calculator and type them in to make sure we can get it. Oh, hold on. Everybody do it. All right, and we would all say $720 is my interest. Okay. All right, and then the next question says, what is the total value? So what that means is you're going to take the principal plus the interest. So I'm going to take 900 plus 720, which is 16. So I did 900 plus 720. So total is principal plus interest. Principal plus interest. All right, so let's do number 2 together. All right, so it says a $5,600 deposit for 45 years at a simple interest rate of 3%. So I'm going to put my I, my P, my R, my T. All right, Gomez, what was their starting amount they put in there? What's that? What did they deposit in there? What's that?
5,000.
So that's their starting amount. That's their principal. Okay, Ethan, what's the rate? What's the rate? What's the percent?
3.
3%. And then remember, with rate, I have to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 1, 2. So 0.03. And then time is the time in years. And what's the time, Brian? 45. All right, so I equals P times the R, which is 0.03 times the rate. So everybody right now, pick up that calculator. Hold on. Pick up your calculator, and I want you to type it in. Make sure you can get it. So 5,600 times 0.03 times 45. All right, Ramon's awake. What'd you get, Ramon? So $7,560 on interest. Woo, that's a lot of dollars. But it's been there 45 years. Does anybody need help with the calculator on getting that answer? Okay, then total value. Total value is the principal plus the interest. So the principal was 5,600 plus the interest, which is what, Brian?
13,160.
$13,160. All right, I'm gonna let you all try number 3. So right now, everybody should be doing number 3.
You want us to do absolute value?
No, just do the question says, how much is the interest? So just find the interest. So put your hands down, give everybody a chance to do it.
Is it guaranteed to snow on Thursday?
They said it's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Did you do this problem? Do this problem and you can go.
Is it gonna be a snow like breaking next month?
I don't know. Right now, shh, quiet. Pick up your pencil so you can do this problem. You're already a whole week behind. You don't need to be sitting there getting even more behind. All right, so Danielle borrows $2,500 from the bank at a 6% simple interest for 5 years. How much is Danielle going to pay in interest? It's not asking for total value, it's asking just for the interest. So, what is the principal? Tell me.
$2,500.
$2,500. What's the rate?
0.6.
6%, but I'm gonna put 0.06, and what's the time? 5. So I equals 2,500 times the rate, 0.06, times the time, 5. And we get that their interest is just $750. And it doesn't ask for total value, so that's where I stop interest. Now number 4, it says what will his investment be worth at the end? So that is interest plus the principal. What?
It's not 750.
I got 750.
It's 750, Brandon. It's 750.
Did you put 0.06?
No.
You put 0.6.
Yes. No. Remember. This calculator.
All right.
Okay. It's like the calculator.
All right, Wendy, you go quick. All right, I want you all to set this one up.
Oh, I know.
And remember, what did we say about 6 months? year.
5 years.
5 years.
A half of a year.
So 0.5.
Yeah.
So for the year thing, do I just do times 0.5?
Yep.
Oh.
All right, so what was the principal?
6,000.
6,000, and what's the rate?
0.07.
0.07, because it's 7 and I move it 2 times, so 0.07. So 6,000 times 0.07 times 0.5,
We pick 10.
and we get $210, and that's the interest. But the question says, what is the total value at the end? So when I find his investment, so 6,000 plus 210, that's $6,210. All right, I want you to flip it over and I want you to do number 6. Number 6, we're gonna kind of skip around, we're doing number 6. Number 6.
Did we already do that one step over, the other day when I was?
Number 6. All right, so the principal, the interest, the rate, and the time. So what's its principal? 1595. What's his rate? 0.08, because I move it 2 places to the left. And then time is 10. So 1595 times the rate times the time.
1276.
And we get $1,276 is the interest. And then I add them, the total value is principal plus interest. So I'm taking 1595 plus 1276, $2,871. So hopefully we're getting that. That's the most basic ones. Okay. Number 5 is a little bit different and a little bit harder. So right now, before we get into number 5, are there any questions about problems like number 6 on how I'm getting any specific numbers? Okay, so let's look at number 5. I'm still going to set it up the same. It says an $800 deposit for 24 months earned $200 in interest. Okay, so here's my question. $800 deposit, where would that go? No, hold on, which one of these letters is an $800 deposit? Principal, because that's the starting amount. Okay? So that's the deposit, so that's the starting amount. All right, it says 24 months. How many years is 24 months?
2 years.
2 years. 24 months is 2 years. So I'm gonna put that in my time. And then it says earned $200 in interest. Where would that
Interest.
go? On I. So this one, it looks like I'm finding the rate. So this is a little bit different because I'm solving for a different variable. So I'm still going to plug it in to I equals PRT, right? So I equals PRT. So follow along with me here and answer my question. What's I? 200 equals, what's P?
800.
800 times R, which I don't know what R is, times time. What's time? 2. Now, I can multiply these together because you can multiply things in a different order. Okay, so I will have 200 equals, now that's 800 times 2, which is 1600 times R. Hold on. So I'm able to multiply things in a different order. Preston, you pay attention? So I can multiply that 800 times 2 to get 1600. Now, this is a one-step equation. I solve it for R by dividing by 1600. And I get that the rate, this is not the same thing, is 0.08, which is what percent is 0.08? 8%. So my rate is 8%. My rate is 8%. And it says total value. Well, the total value is principal plus interest. What is the principal plus interest? $1,000.
So, rate is gonna equal 8.
So the rate is 8%. All right, I'm gonna do number 9 so that you can see another one just like that. Okay? We're gonna see another one. All right, number 9. It's just like that one. It says Jude deposited $550 into an account that earns simple interest. After 11 years, the interest was $484. What was the interest rate? So I-P-R-T. So right now, I want you to fill in what they gave us. So put your interest, your principal, your rate, your time there. Fill in what they gave you. This is number 9. Number 5.
You times 200 times 2. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I got 1600.
And then you is P 550?
So the word deposited means that that's the starting amount, so that's the principal. Interest is interest. Rate says percent, time says years. Okay, so if I go down, what's the interest do they say? What's the interest?
484.
Interest was 484. And what's the principal?
550.
550, because I know the word deposited is principal. What's the rate?
Question.
We don't know, right? We have no idea. That's what they're asking. And then time, 11 years. So hopefully, at least you can get that, and then you can get some partial credit for setting up that part. And then we're gonna plug it into I equals PRT. Okay, so I equals PRT. So what's my I? 484 equals, what's my P? 550. What's my rate? We don't know, so I'm gonna leave that as R. And then what's my time? 11. So there's some other points that you can get for setting that up. Okay, then I'm going to multiply these because I'm trying to get R by itself. So I'm going to do 550 times 11, and I get 6,050 times R equals 484. Because I can multiply things in a different order. That's the commutative property. And then to get R all the way by itself, R is being multiplied by 6050. So I'm going to divide by 6050. Right. So on my calculator, 484. All right. On my calculator, 484 divided by 6050. So I get 0.08.
984.
So that my R is 0.08, and then I move it 2 places to the right to make it a percent. So to make that a percent, it's gonna be 8%.
But now we moved it to the left.
Well, we move it to the left to make it a decimal, we move it to the right to make it a percent. It's 8%.
So then what's the point of moving it versus moving it back?
Because they're asking me what is my interest rate.
I'm so stupid.
Well, check your work. Oh wait, you probably don't have anything written down.
Wait, no, because I divided it and I got 12. Yeah.
Well, do it again.
No.
484 divided by 6050, I get 0.08. My answer key has 8.
Are you doing 605 divided by?
No, it's not
I
5.
didn't. Oh, I did.
Did you do backwards?
Yeah.
You did it backwards.
Oh, you did.
Okay, no, I'm bad.
All right, we're gonna go down to the bottom. I'm gonna tell you this. Let's say, Bob deposited, I don't know, $450. He left it for 8 years. All right. I'm gonna have to figure this out here. After 8 years, he made $72 in interest. All right, so do this one down at the bottom. It's just like the last two we did. What is his interest rate? I just made it up. So Bob deposited $450. He left it, this will say left it, for 8 years. After 8 years, he made $72 in interest. What is the interest rate? Hold on. I want you to write it on your paper right now. Everybody write it on your paper. Do not just give me answers. I need to see some work. So IPRT, fill in what you know. Shh. No, just sit down. You should say IPRT and put in what you know.
No, I didn't.
All right, hold on. Guys, it's too much. We're too competitive right now.
That's the year going.
The year goes with the time. Because here's the thing with seventh graders in general. We always assume the bigger number is divided by the smaller number, which is not the case. You always, that's just not true. You
Yeah.
always divide by the number that's with the variable. Alright, so you deposited $450, so that's the principal. For 8 years, that's my time. 72 in interest is my interest. So I'm gonna be finding the rates. So I equals PRT. So 72 equals 450 times rate times time, which is 8. So you should have put all your stuff in, and you all should be able to get to that. Being able to put it where it goes. And you may have a little bit of trouble solving it, but that shouldn't be the issue. Okay, so then I multiply what I can. So 450 times 8 is 3,600 times R equals 72. I did 450 times 8. And then I'll divide by the 3,600. So I'm gonna take 72 divided by 3,600, and I get 0.02 for my rate. So what percent is that? 2%. All right, that's what we're gonna have to stop. We'll have to finish them tomorrow. We just have a couple minutes till lunch.